Imagine being poisoned. Imagine knowing that the life was slowly draining from your body, but there was nothing you could do to stop it. Now imagine swallowing radioactive material and having it circulate throughout your entire body system. Well, that's exactly what happened to Alexander Litvineko, a Russian ex-spy who was once involved with the KGB. Here we'll look at his battle with the KGB, followed by the timeline of events leading up to his death, including his final days, and finally what linked his death to the KGB, along with how this is still relevant today. To begin, Alexander Litvineko was a former Soviet KGB officer who later became a journalist after he and his wife moved to Great Britain. In 1998, he accused Vladimir Putin, who was one of the officers in the KGB that was highly ranked, who he had worked under, that had ordered him to kill Russians and assassinate people that they saw as a threat. Alexander Litvineko now feared that he would be on Putin's radar and that he would become the next target. In April of 2005, a man named Boris Volodarsky visits Litvineko in London along with a few other KGB officers, and he gets a little paranoid because he thinks that their conversations are possibly being wired. According to Goldfarb and Litvineko's book Death of a Dissident, starting in October 2006, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun met with Litvineko at hotels over 2 days and then returned to Moscow. Now we will look at November 1st, 2006, which was the day of Alexander's poisoning. Dmitry Kovtun arrived in London the day before in a taxi, which was later found to be highly contaminated with polonium-210. Alexander Litvineko then met with Andrei Lugovoy at the Millennium Hotel, and before that, a mystery man was seen in room 444 of the same hotel and was behaving and doing some suspicious activities. When Litvineko met with Lugovoy at the hotel and the mystery man came out, he said that he had to leave, but that he would return later. At 4:30, he does return and talks with Lugovoy at the hotel bar, where he sips from a cup of green tea. He leaves around 5, and then the mystery man disposes of this cup of tea. This day was exactly 6 years after Litvineko and his wife had moved to Russia. And later, that room 441 in the Millennium Hotel was found to be highly contaminated with radioactive polonium-210. So what is polonium-210? Well, it's a radioactive element that can enter your body through ingestion. Maybe you breathe in the contaminated air, or it enters through an open wound. There's no antidote, and it takes 50 days for the amount in your body to decrease by half. Finally, Alexander survived only 3 weeks with this in his system. According to Boris Volodarsky's book, The KGB Poison Factory, this was strikingly similar to several other poisonings, and so they were all linked to the KGB. In his final days, Litvineko received much publicity while he was in the hospital, so his story became fairly well known. He finally died on November 23, 2006 from a heart attack, and this was the first case of polonium poisoning to be observed. We don't know exactly who poisoned the cup, but we do know that it was someone from the KGB and that it was very carefully planned out and precisely executed. According to an article entitled Alexander Litvineko, the UK, after his death, tried to extradite Andrei Lugovoy to Britain for trial and investigation, but Vladimir Putin was president of Russia at the time and refused, saying that it was against the Russian constitution. His wife, Marina, wanted to make known her husband's story, so she went around Europe and started to try to tell about her husband's experiences, and she also wrote a book about the end of his life with Alexander Goldfarb. So some of y'all might be asking, why is this still relevant today? Well, Vladimir Putin at the time was president of Russia, the former KGB high-ranking officer. And he's the current president of Russia once again. So back in May of this year, most likely through Putin's influence, some pushing, and clever political tactics, a part of Ukraine took a vote, and it was decided that they wanted to leave the country of Ukraine and become part of Russia. Now, currently, Putin has been known to be sending troops, military units, and supplies into the Ukrainian border, yet he's denying that he's invading Ukraine or that he's trying to start a war. according to the book The KGB Poison Factory as well, the KGB is still active today, and in recent years has still been active in promoting their propaganda, and even recently there have still been some mysterious deaths and poisonings that have occurred. In conclusion, Alexander Litvineko was a former KGB spy who, after accusing the organization of, I guess you could call it, war crimes, he was targeted by his former own comrades and lured to interact with him once again, and they turned on him, poisoning him with polonium. His death was linked to the KGB, and this is still relevant today because Vladimir Putin was the president then and is still the current president of Russia now. So what will he do next?